Hello, everybody. Thank y'all so much for stopping by. This is another episode of Mortgage Boss Talk Tuesday. Y'all, come on in, come on in. It is going to be a good episode today. I have some guests that I'm going to pull up shortly in the back. They're going to be some good guests. They're actually my classmates. Aggie Pride. Y'all know I always shout out Auntie every chance I get, and it is homecoming season. It's that time of year. So I'm going to bring my classmates up and we're going to continue this conversation. I have been talking about something for quite some time, but recently I've been seeing on social media, people have been complaining a lot about the cost of things. All right. We've always kind of whined a little bit about the price of gas and whined a little bit about, the price of milk and things like that. But it's starting to become unbearable. So I want to start the conversation like this. And this is my disclaimer. I don't want anyone's feelings to be hurt. So if you are very sensitive, this may not be for you. And I'm very serious. My goal is not to hurt anyone's feelings. My goal is to create an environment to foster a conversation that needs to be had, especially in the Black community, as it pertains to pushing our incomes forward and us building wealth. If you are new here, please make sure that when you come in, you are hitting the like button for me for my engagement so that this will be seen by the masses, because it's a very important conversation that we have. Okay. One thing, and also subscribe if you ain't been here before. I need that. So one thing that I want to make sure of, again, I don't want anybody's feelings hurt, but we are going to be very candid about the things that we are going to discuss as it pertains to this earning this $100,000. I make six figures that everybody loves to tout, wants to talk about. One thing I saw on social media, baby, let me tell you something. And I felt this in my soul. Okay. I heard somebody say, how is it possible that we're making the most money we have ever made, but we are as broke as we have ever been? I was like, ouch. I mean, DM me if you're going to talk bad about me. Okay. But it is such an important statement. And so it set up a conversation that I had on my IG live last week. And it was just me just talking. I was just talking. I was just like randomly just being joy. And I made the statement that, if you earn $100,000, you're broke. And it kind of sparked a little bit of a conversation. I got some DMs from some people. And it's okay. I love dialogue. Healthy dialogue is what it's all about. I got some DMs from some people and they were like, well, that ain't, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that about people. I understand. I get it. I understand all of that. But again, back to my disclaimer, we are here just to push a conversation forward about removing limiting beliefs and fixed mindsets as it pertains to the opportunities that exist in the Black community. I am a mortgage loan officer, if you don't already know. And as a mortgage loan officer, I finance 1 to 4 family units for residential financing. So I talk to people every single day about their finances. I go through and I look at bank statements. I talk to people about their aspirations and ambitions as it pertains to home ownership. And I try the best that I can to allow them a pathway to get to that goal of home ownership, which is oftentimes something that is very, very emotional, very near and dear to their hearts, because it's something that for most women anyway, not necessarily as much for men, it's something that we played house when we were 6, right? When we were 8, 9, when we got to be teenagers, we started flipping through magazines at the Food Lion, right? At the grocery store, you seeing the houses and all of that. And so then the internet came. And so then HGTV got on board, and it just made these different lives that we didn't even know could exist come into our own realm. And we saw, what was it? MTV Cribs. And we got a taste of what life could be like as it pertains to, oh my God, when I grow up, I'm gonna get this house. Woo woo. What? Who is it? Master P. He had like a gold toilet or something like that. Like all of these images have been planted in our heads. And while we may not have necessarily thought that we would have a 24 karat gold toilet, we absolutely probably did imagine what life would be like with a husband and with our 2.5 kids and our 1.5 dogs and our picket fence and what life would look like. And anytime you imagine what life looked like, I can guarantee you probably envision yourself in a house. It's just what you do by nature. And it's, again, a part of the American dream. Well, speaking personally, I will say this. Now, I want to make sure that I'm positioning this again to be respectful. I don't mean for anybody to get their feelings hurt, but I'm speaking a lot of the things that I'm saying right now. Oh, child, my collar. I went to work today. I just came from an event, so that's why I look like work. Okay. So a lot of the things that I am saying come from a place of I've already sat in that seat. I've already lived that life. There are certain things that, again, have driven me emotionally that I'm just going to share. Like I said, I'm a pretty transparent person because I never, ever want the people that I talk to about attaining home ownership to think that I'm up here and I'm talking to them down here. That's not my desire, but we do have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We need to have a come to Jesus conversation. We are behind. We are so far behind. $100,000 is not the goal. If you are trying to get to $100,000 to plant your flag in the sand and say, I made it. You ain't made it. No, you made, congratulations. Welcome to 1980. Congratulations, you made it to 1980. There is no internet. And you probably got a station wagon. That's literally where we are and what we need to converse about. Again, y'all, I see more people coming in. As y'all come in, thank y'all so much for stopping by. Please make sure that you hit the like button so that, again, this can be shared. I really need that engagement, because this is a conversation that we absolutely need to have in Black America. You don't really hear me too much saying, African Americans and Black. I don't really get into that space. I mean, obviously, the people that are going to watch are probably going to look like me, but that is not what my platform is necessarily. I am here to provide information, fact-based, concrete, research-based information, not my opinion, about helping people get into home ownership, which is still very much the cornerstone of wealth in America. Your wealth strategy should not only be about a house. That's only a tranche, only a slice, only a piece of your overall wealth portfolio. I know the cool thing to say right now is, I got generational wealth. Okay, girl, you got generational wealth because you own a house. You owe the bank too now, okay? And you probably got some student loans too, girl. There are a lot of things that you have to consider as it pertains to generational wealth, and we're going to unpack that, okay? But again, kind of going back to my conversation last week. So I did my little IG live and I said, hey, y'all, if you earn $100,000, that's a goal that we had back in the 80s. That's when it was a thing. Now that 100,000 is more like $400,000. And I have had several conversations on social media, on the YouTube, where people done came for me. I messed around and told some man that $60,000 wasn't enough to raise a family of 4. Woo, honey, child. Sorry. Didn't mean to step on your toes, okay? But it's not. It isn't, okay? I am credentialed enough to tell you that it absolutely is not, because I watch people's spending habits. I see the nakedness. I don't know if you all ever bought a home, but if you ever buy a house, you are standing in front of your loan officer completely naked, completely exposed. I know every credit decision that you have ever made. I know every purchase that you have ever made. I know every purchase that you made in the last 60 days. I can see your bank accounts, everything. The things that your parents don't know about you, I know in 5 minutes. So I promise everything that I'm telling you is coming from a place of love, and it's coming from a place of trying to push this conversation forward a little bit. So let me get this party started. Let me take a look in the chat here. Thank you guys so much for joining me again. Oh my goodness. We got some people up in here today. Okay, RB and the Real Bravado Network, thank you so much for joining me. You said after taxes, 100K is just middle class money. Is it middle class? Is it middle class? Because I think we're going to have to start like adjusting some of the definitions of some of the things that we have. But okay, I'll take that for now. Terrell Key, hey, my favorite principal's principal. Well, assistant principal. What's up? Thank you so much for joining me. And you said you ain't been on live in a minute. No, you have not. I know you've been over there with them badass kids. Bless their hearts. But we appreciate everything that you do for education in America. All right, they speaking to each other. Everybody talk. Y'all talking to each other. Oh no, not fail to pay the taxes and see what happens to generational wealth. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see. Y'all still talking to each other. Okay, that's great. All right, well, so thank y'all so much again for joining me. So I want to pull up something really quick before I bring up my guests, just as a framework of why I say what I'm saying, okay? I want to share this document with you. I did a little research, okay? I went to college a couple of times. Okay, I went to A&T. I got a degree in journalism, which I talked about that last week. That degree in journalism suggests that I understand when I present information, I need to be able to cite my sources, not just be making up shit. We don't want to do that. We want everybody to be based in facts. We want fact-based information so that we can formulate an opinion accordingly. Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right, girl. You go, girl. I also am a teacher. I have a degree, a master's degree in education. And you can't be lying to the kids. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. They believe everything too. Lord knows. All right, y'all. So this is what I got here. I did a little bit of research because I wanted to compare what $100,000 really is. We want to adjust for inflation. We want to take a look at what it used to be, how much you could get for $100,000 compared to now. And there are several things that have changed, which is what has made me feel like it is absolutely valid to say that if you 100,000-aire, you broke. Okay. Now I want to also be very, very clear. If you make 100,000 and you have a spouse or another income in the household, and they do, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about one household, $100,000. That is what I mean. So I think it's very important to clear up that definition as well. So according to the 2021 U.S. Census data, adjusted for inflation in 1980, the median household income was $75,672. That dropped down, and I don't think I did a good job with separating this here, but that dropped down to $70,784 in 2021. While I was doing my research, one of the things that was acknowledged was back in the day, the thing was you could work at your manufacturing job. If you got mad with your boss, you could quit and go get you another manufacturing job. Now, if you got you a manufacturing job and you lose that job, it's not really very many places for you to go. So that's one of the contributing factors with that. Housing is a big one. Over the last 2 years, it has skyrocketed. We have to acknowledge that. So back in 1990, so what a $100,000 house was back in 1990, when I was at the tender age of 7 years old, I was a young child. Bill-free, debt-free. Life was good, and I didn't even know. Adjusted, that $100,000 adjusted for inflation according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2023 is $377,724. Again, most of that took place over the last 3 years. Most of that skyrocketed over the last 2 to 3 years. Healthcare has up 27% in terms of your out-of-pocket expenses. And again, this is adjusted for inflation. The auto loans that we are going out to get for 60 months, 72 months, 84 months, 96 months. I told y'all, I look at people's credit report every single day. And I'm talking about, I swear I do. I promise. I don't tell no lies. I don't be doing that. I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard. 96 months. These average car payments now are about $700 compared to, a few years ago. I feel like I could go on a car lot and be like, oh, I want my payment to be $350. And if you're getting a pre-owned car, we're at $526. Gas. Yeah, I remember when gas was like 90 something cents. I got to college just in time for me to get a license and a car, and it started going up. So back in 2000, we were at about $1.51 in gas. Today, we're at about $360. $3.60. So $1.51 in 2000, $3.60 today. Well, you can't have this brand new car with all this gas and be riding around with no car insurance. Car insurance up. Back in the day, 1990, $500. You good with your insurance policy. That thing has tripled. We're at $1,587 in 2021. And the reality is these numbers are actually outpacing inflation. Inflation, I think I saw, was something like 2.3% during that time period. Of course, COVID made inflation skyrocket, but as you can see, we're paying out a lot of money month to month that we don't always factor in. And then, of course, college costs, tuition has doubled from 1991 to 2021. So I think I've set the stage for a conversation, or so I hope I have. So let me stop sharing this. And I'm going to bring up two people that I went to college with, Jermaine Perry and Rico Beans. Hello, y'all. How y'all doing?
Hey, Joy. Great. Good to be here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all hopping on here and kicking it with me for a little bit. Before I get started with with all the questions I want to ask you all, I do have to acknowledge I got a cash out from Naya Black. She sent me $35. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Shout out to the people that's watching. I love y'all. So you guys, you all saw my post last week on Instagram, right? Oh no, let me back up. Tell the people who you are. Jermaine, who are you? What do you do? I know I've been following you on Instagram and you have a restaurant or bakery called Sydney Sweets.
Yeah. So I'm the CEO of
20 years. Catch us up.
Yeah. So my wife and I, we own a storefront bakery called Sydney Sweets in New York. We've had the storefront for 10 years now. I'm also in real estate, so I do buy and hold. I do short-term rentals. I do syndications, and I'm also heavily invested in cash value life insurance. So just finding what works for me, what I'm comfortable with, what I'm able to gain knowledge on and fully understand, and going full steam away. So that's business, real estate, and life insurance, and using those things to not only build a legacy for my family, but support me in early retirement.
I love that. That is amazing. And you own some property outside of the United States, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually I own properties in Mexico, and I'm building a villa in Dominican Republic as well.
That is awesome. We're gonna circle back to that.
Yeah. And coming up next, Rico got a lot going on. So Rico's actually my business partner for one of my villas in Mexico. So, but Rico, I'll let you lay it down for what you got going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rico, tell us a little bit about you because I know you have a book that you've recently published. Is that right?
yeah, that's correct. I'll correct Jermaine. Say I'm in on two villas in Mexico with Jermaine. But
Okay.
yeah, but yeah,
On
Rico
the
Beans.
move.
I am an author. Check out my book. You don't have to die poor: powerful strategies toward financial freedom and prosperity. But I like to call myself a poverty escape artist. Those who know me know I grew up in poverty in the Mississippi River Delta area, not a very wealthy area, and I've been able to create multiple streams of income by creating simple businesses that are generating cash flow for me. I invest in real estate, and then I also own a transportation courier business in Atlanta, Georgia.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh. What do you call it? A poverty is
Poverty escape artists. I'm not trying to go back.
abracadabra. I love it. That is great. Well, again, so thank y'all so much for taking time out and pushing this conversation forward. Because, like I said, I think it's something that's very important. As I stated, and y'all follow me on social media, I try to educate people about the homeownership process, talking to them about what you need to be able to buy a house. And this year, I've had to say no so many times. It's gotten so bad that it just has gotten, it's boring. It's not fun for me. I don't enjoy taking the light out of somebody's eyes, you know? And so I want us to really talk about what is it that people can do? Why do you feel that this generation, I don't even know where it started. Why do you feel that $100,000 is like the goal and people get there and they're like, I made it. I don't need to do nothing else.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's so we say 100,000, but I think the term is like six figures, right? We say we want to make six figures, right? So, and then the next goal from six to seven, and there's a very small percentage that's going to make it to seven. So when you just get to six, you're like, I made it, I'm good, right?
Not even
So,
going deep into six. It's like 101. I can stop.
right, 101, I'm good. I'm in the club. I'm in the club, right? So, but yeah, I think it's an old thought, and I think it's going to take us pushing the conversation to now push us into the new thought, right? Because it sounds good, right? And so you really got to break it down. But I think everything that we used to know, we have to start questioning, and that's when we get to break generational curses and do things differently. Like, so if you look at your parents, and if your parents didn't create wealth for you, then you can't repeat what they did and think it's going to put you in a better position, right? So we got to start looking at things that have happened and say, okay, this is not working. What new information do I need to learn, and what do I need to unlearn? So I think it's the trendy word of the six figures, and but what does that really mean? But I think you get it down for what you can actually purchase and how you can live is what's important. So I applaud you for continuing to bring that conversation to light, and now we're seeing more things. Okay, well, this is the type of house you can buy with this. And what are we at now? I think 143 is like the minimum now for
Yep. I'm
for
gonna
a
put an
household.
article. Yep.
Yeah, yes, for household
115.
income for you to be able to live affordably, and that's probably definitely not in my market because I'm in New York. So but yeah, I think we just have to continue to have the conversation and also understand what are the parameters, the goals, the principles of how we want to live and what we want to create for our offering. Continuing to challenge that conversation and not just doing the bare minimum and setting our children up to win and not starting from negative or zero, but from the positive standpoint.
I love it. Rico, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I always get caught up when people say six figures. I lived in the Bay Area for 6 years, and so six figures in the Bay Area is,
Chump change.
you got a roommate, right? Uh, you're not getting by, and I think we've kind of sensationalized this number, this arbitrary number. But I think we got to step back and say, okay, what do we want? What are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to leave for our children? What legacy are we trying to create? What's your why? to this versus like, am I just wanting to have a certain numbers so I can tell my friends at the brunch, yeah, I'm doing six figures. I got 100. I'm making 100,000. Okay, what does that really even mean, right?
Right. But I want to touch on a point because Rico, because you kind of made a little bit of a joke, but we got to get out this. It's nothing wrong with having a roommate, right? So if you know that where you live has expensive housing, and of course, maybe we don't want roommates because of, whatever it is. But if you are a single person and if the difference between being able to save and invest or live check to check is having a roommate, we got to break this stigma that we supposed to be living alone. Hell, you might not just need a roommate. You might need to be sleeping in the room with somebody on a bunk bed, right? Based on what your income is. Now I'm talking extremes right now, but I think we just gotta people. I think we have this sense of expectation of luxury, and that's outside of your wage. You living outside of your wage. So I think we have to start allowing people to live within their wage, and not make it a stigma. Because I think that in certain markets and certain incomes, living by yourself is not the best option. Now, if you don't want that reality, you can make more. And I know Rico is going to touch on that a little bit later. But I think my number one thing is the easiest way to have more is to reduce your expenses, right? And I think people don't want to do that, but that's the easiest thing to do. Maybe not, but it is. But I think that's the easiest way to increase what you keep is to reduce your expenses. And I think we got to start having some real conversations about what you should be spending on and what's the reality of what you can afford.
Let me jump in on that because that's a great point that you're making. And I'll tell you a story. So I actually did that. So for a year, I actually went and lived with relatives to save money. And that goes back to your point of having a goal. I had a goal that I wanted to invest heavily to change my net worth. And so what happened to me, Joy, was I was working in Silicon Valley and I was making amazing amounts of money. I was 200 plus a year. I made it. I went and did this calculation around net worth, and my net worth was negative, even though I was making so much money. And I wanted to change that. So what I did for over years, I went and, other things I did before that, but part of that was this journey was I went and lived with some relatives and save my money. And that's part of the reason I was able to take some of my money and invest in other businesses and actually start to create things that to help me increase my affordability and my buying power.
Yeah. Hey, Rico, would you be open to sharing what year that was?
That was during the pandemic.
So
that was actually during the pandemic.
Yeah,
So
and I say that. Yeah, the reason why I say that is so we can make it real. But when you continue to tell your story, so people can see from 2019 to 2023 what you did in 4 years to change, and because that's not a long time. So I think it's very important as we go into the story for people to see what you did in 4 years is amazing, and I just want to applaud you, bro.
In 2019, I looked at my net worth and I was like, I'm making all this money, but my net worth is negative. So I had to make some changes. I had to cut some debt. I had to change my spending habits, and I had to just accelerate investing and get into business. We can talk about that just to change my trajectory. And I think that's what people got to be willing to do. Like, what's your goal and what are you willing to do in order to change your financial situation so that you can afford, whether it's that house or leave something for your kids, your legacy, whatever that might be.
Absolutely.
I love it. That is y'all out here giving some gems early. Okay. I didn't know we were gonna come in hot like
we
that.
coming in hot. We coming in hot, Joy.
Well, hang on. Let me check in the chat here. Let's see who we got. Professor Black Ops, cybersecurity for the people. Thank you so much for joining me. Salute to the chat. So salute to you as well. And somebody says, Professor Cutie Pie said that's real. So yeah, everybody think y'all came in real hot dropping some gems here. And then I also would like to say thank you so much to Maggie, the substitute teacher, another content creator. Y'all, Maggie Substitute Teacher is like the most networking YouTuber I have ever seen in my entire life. So she dropped a $5 cash app. So shout out to her. Thank you so much. She has a channel where she's not an actual substitute teacher. She teaches people how to substitute different ingredients in their foods for healthier options. So we really appreciate it. So thank you so much, ma'am. I appreciate you. That's Maggie right there. She's in Atlanta. Rico, you're in Atlanta too, right?
Yes.
I know she can cook something for you one day.
Yeah. Let me find out.
So, in terms of home ownership, do both of you own homes? I know, Jermaine, you got that, but you own your home in Atlanta, right? Your
Yes.
primary residence, not just investments, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
What so Joe, I want to jump. I do not have a single family house. So, while I own many properties, I do not own the dream, American dream, single family home. I own a multi-unit home that I own, which I have tenants in it as well. So, and trust me, I could be in that position where I could have it, and I will be. That's one of the goals. But one of the things I loved about the strategy that I created was I did not purchase a single family home first, right? So I think that's another change in mindset that I think I was forced into, but now I like to talk about it, is because once you buy that single family home, like things come up, kids, children, whatever it is, you may not get to the point where you're stacking enough money to get that next invest in another asset that you want to purchase, right? Because you're comfortable, you're home. You're like, if nothing else, like you said, I got generational wealth because I bought a house, right? That's the common people say. But I made myself uncomfortable by not going there first. So now I have to continue because I do want that home. I'm put in a position where I'm encouraged to earn more, to put money aside so that now I can still have that thing I want, but I'm not just in a comfortable state because it wasn't my first purchase. So, I have what now? At least seven properties under my belt, but I'm still living in a lesser than what I want perspective, and I could have more, but I'm setting up my trajectory just a little bit different. So that's one of the things I think people really need to look at, is allowing a multi-unit house be your first purchase, so that no matter what happens, that's real generational wealth. Because just owning a home is not good. That the asset becomes when it's producing income for you, right? So just having equity, that's not enough, right? We gotta this. You have to be able to have actual cash flow coming for this to be a true asset, right? So we gotta dig deeper into these terms and what they really mean.
I think that's so important. We have to dig deeper into the terms so we're all using the same language. That's 1,000% right. One thing I always say to people is like, generational wealth is not for you. It's not for you. It's for the people after you. You're supposed to have something to leave behind. The Bible instructs us to leave an inheritance. Not to get too biblical, but I'm just saying.
Whoa, you went there on them. You went there on them.
Just saying, but it's true. And so that's something that, again, it's a catchphrase, it's cute, but generational wealth is not for you, it's for the people that are behind you. Now, you've spent some time in the South during college. We don't have like multi-units in the way that they do up north, right?
Right.
So the original question, well, I have two questions now. So the original question I was going to ask both of you is, how did you get into your property? Did you all do like a down payment assistance? Did you save up your own money? Did you put down 20%? How did you acquire your home?
Rico, you want to jump in?
I can go first. So this is my second property. So my first property was a single family home. So I'm a vet. I was in the United States Air Force, and so my first home was a VA loan home, which is a great product. You don't have to put really any money down to acquire a home, and that's how I purchased my first home. And that first home then became a rental property for me. And so then what I did was I sold that house um, the year before last, and I took the money from that house to buy to do this house. So I bought a bigger house, and like Jermaine said, multi-unit. Well, there's not a lot of, like you said, there's not a lot of multi-units in the South. So I became creative, and so what I did was I actually found a home that had a mother-in-law suite in the home. So it has a kitchen, it's a basement area that has a kitchen and bedrooms and a bathroom, and then I added to it, and then I split the level to basically create 2 units. So I have a unit in the basement that I can use for mid and short term rentals, and then I have a unit upstairs that I can actually live in or eventually move out, and then that gives me 2 units that I can start to generate cash flow from.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, my first property, I went through the FHA program. So a very long story, but the short version is, yeah, we went through the FHA. So I guess with fees and things like that, you figure about 5%, maybe six, whatever it is. You could jump on that number a little bit better, but yeah, but we had to save up. So yeah, I think our payment was about 30,000 that we had to invest into that to be able to get into that. But yeah, but I walked into within the multi, I'm able right now I have zero payment, right? My tenants pay my complete, I actually am gaining some from that. So, when I move out of this property, I'll keep this property forever. But then now I'll be having the rent in my area is 3,500, right? So when now that my mortgage is I'm breaking even right now. When I move out of this unit, I now have $3,500 in income a month that I can put towards my dream house, my mortgage, whatever I want to pay. So by doing that, now my investment that I made first is now paying for my dream house versus the money I work for, so cash flow, they call that mailbox money, where, and that's the thing too, is like the lifestyle and the principles I have is I don't spend any of the money I earn that I work for because I work too damn hard, right? To be spending money that I work for, right? So, I'm investing what I'm earning and I'm spending what my investments are returning back to me. So that's the next level of how wealthy people move, and so that has been something that has supported me. So I think I'm at about 80% of my earnings are going straight back into investments. Of course, I got, spending money and things like that where I'm just having fun with, but I'm really proud of that number and how I'm living that way.
That is a great story. I love that strategy. Like I said, up down here, we don't really have the multi-unit properties. I know house hacking is a new colloquialism that we
Yep.
have in
Yep.
in real estate. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, the strategy of house hacking is to have a multi-unit property as your first home. You could have a duplex, a triplex, or quad. You live in one unit and then you rent out the remaining units because they are going to pay the rent for you, and you effectively pays your mortgage. And that is a way to generate cash flow. Now here in the South, I'm hearing people say, well, you can house hack a single family home. I don't want nobody up on me like that personally. I mean, if that's your thing, you got it. But that's not what the Lord has for me. Okay. So, so if you are wanting to do something like that, one, I would strongly recommend that you check with your HOA community, see if that's something that will be allowed. Two, if it is something that's allowed in an area, what you would do is you would take your single family home, and let's say it's a 4-bedroom, you would rent out the 3 bedrooms, and that would effectively, or in theoretically cover whatever the mortgage payment is on that. and you would continue that process until you've amassed however much money you want to go toward any subsequent properties that you would like to purchase. So I brought up your origin of how you acquired your first property because this week, Joe Biden, this has been a rumor for a little while, and I'm going to share this screen with you. Joe Biden, excuse me, let me put some respect on his name. President
Biden.
Joe Biden has unveiled his new actions for home ownership. As you can see, this from October the 16th. And so this is something I've known about for quite some time. There is this initiative that was out there, and I've heard many different numbers. I've heard 15,000, 25,000 to go towards a tax credit to help first generation first-time home buyers to be able to put down as a down payment, have money to put down as a down payment or get a tax credit to reduce their tax bill at the end of the year. And the idea is to try to open up the avenue for people that have not had access to home ownership to be able to gain access to home ownership. Very, very frequent question that I find that I get, believe it or not, and again, this gets back to the 100,000 thing. I will have people that earn six figures, earn $125,000, say, hey, can I get down payment assistance? And up until the past couple of years, I've worked at a bank. And in the bank, that's not really a thing. Like they kind of like, well, you should have money to buy a house, right? So things have gotten exponentially more expensive over the last several years, as I outlined earlier. But I say all that to say, let's kind of take a look at these numbers. And I want y'all to tell me, do you think this is a good idea or not? And I will definitely give my opinion. This effectively says that these actions make important strides, but given the lack of homes in the market and the current interest rates, to truly ensure homeownership is accessible to all households, we need Congress to act. Okay. Side note, for those of you all that don't know, whenever you have down payment assistance, more often than not, HUD sets the numbers for whatever the income limits are going to be that allow access to the down payment assistance. And they're also going to set the the purchase price. So if your down payment assistance program has, if it says, okay, $315,000 is the maximum your purchase price can be for you to qualify for this program, that is who's setting that. So Congress. So it is election season, and I am extremely active when it comes to voters' rights. Y'all, it's extremely important that if you all are listening to this, I urge you and encourage you, please exercise your right to vote, because when you vote, when you don't vote and you end up in situations where you're like, oh my God, I don't know why stuff costs so much, because you didn't vote. All right. I'll get off that soapbox for now. I'll revisit the soapbox again later. So it says here, this is why President Biden has proposed $16 billion for the neighborhood homes tax credit, which will result in more than 400,000 homes being built or rehabilitated, creating a pathway for more families to buy a home and start building wealth. Hey, we just talked about that, right? The whole wealth thing. I want to highlight something here that's really important. You guys, there is a 6 million unit housing shortage in America. Let me stop sharing and I'll read. I want to talk about this real quick because I think that it's important to tell the story of what do you mean there's a 6 million unit housing shortage? Like, how did we get here?
Tell us, Joy. Tell us.
Y'all, in 2008, I graduated college in 2005. Oh, so those of y'all that are just new here, these are my classmates. Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Graduated college in 2005. I bought my first townhome in 2006. When I bought my townhome in 2006, it was a 2-bed, 2.5-bath townhome here in Charlotte for $127,000.
Mm.
I bought my house in between jobs. I was working at 102 Jams in Greensboro, and I was supposed to be coming to Charlotte to work at a different radio station. There was some delays with the paperwork. They said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll just give you a different loan." So I ended up getting, I think it was like an 80-20 loan. So that meant I didn't have to put any money down. And they positioned it like, this is a good thing. So I'm in my townhome for 5 years. So the bank wanted it back. It's like, okay, cool. You win. You can have it back. So that was in 2011, I think. Okay. As you all are fully aware, in 2008, that was the beginning of the end. Everything started to collapse. Banks, investment banks, Lehman Brothers collapsed. All of these things started happening as a result of the housing market having underwritten bad loans. And I want to underscore, I'm telling this story for multiple reasons. The housing crisis caused the recession. It wasn't the recession that caused the housing crisis. The housing crisis happened because back in the 90s, when I was a child, Bill Clinton said, "Hey, you know what? I think we should let poor people buy houses." And I don't think they need to really show a whole lot of information. Like, that might be a little discriminatory. Like, give them what they want. It's okay. It's a house, right? Of course they'll pay for it, right? It's in the 90s. Okay, this is great. The good times started rolling, and they rolled, and it was a snowball. And the snowball got so big, it created this avalanche that it rolled over the people because they were giving out products, or they were creating products to give away homes that people could not afford. There were loans called ninjas, no income, no asset, no job, stated income loans, where it's like, okay, Rico, you want to buy a house? All right, cool. Like, well, how much house you want to buy? Oh, you want to buy a $400,000 house in a gated community? Okay, bet, cool. Where you work at? The Waffle House. Excellent. How much you earn at the Waffle House? $7 out. Okay. Let's just say you make $17,000 a month, and we just don't worry about it. Just sign your name. Just sign your name. It's all good. Nobody's gonna call you in it. Nobody's gonna check. Nobody wants your documents. It's all good. Okay. This is the 2000s, the early 2000s. Okay. So bad loans, underwritten, bad products. Everybody's buying a house. Anybody with a pulse, good credit, bad credit, no credit, slow credit, no problem. So things started to come apart. So 2008, Barack Obama, oh, hey, Barack, it's a black president. This is amazing. This is great. Okay. Things start falling apart. All of these people that got these adjustable rate loans back in the day, not today, they had not one house, not two houses, not three houses, all arms. They had to go somewhere. They all went into foreclosure, like me. So by 2012, we hit the absolute bottom of the market. The bottom of the market, when I say that, that means that there was a surplus of homes that were available in relationship to the number of people that could qualify to get financing for a loan. Okay. That's how we ended up having, oh, it's a recession, houses gonna be half off. That is not true in reality. Okay. And so we had a surplus of homes. Down payment assistance became the thing to say, y'all, we got to get these houses. Somebody just give the houses away. As long as the people qualify. You had to have good credit. That's pretty much all you needed. Good credit. They would pay your closing costs in 2012, 2013, 2014. Down payment assistance. They get, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was tax credits that they were offering in 2011, 12, 13 to encourage people to get these houses out the bank's names, because the banks do not want your house. I'm telling you, banks do not want your homes, okay? So 2013, 14, 15. Oh, I come on the scene. I became a loan officer in 2014. 2015, we're still closing costs. It's all good. But now 2016, things start shifting a little bit. Things starting to, because guess what? If you went into foreclosure in 2008, guess what you could do in 7 years? Buy a house. If you had a bankruptcy in 2008, guess what you can now do? Buy a house in 7 years. So, ooh, child, everybody's in the market now. We have people in the market that have been sitting on the sidelines. They probably didn't pay their mortgage for like 2 years before they went into foreclosure. They went and got rent that was half of whatever their mortgage payment may have been. They have lots of money. People are in the market. They're buying houses. 1 house, 2 house. I'm gonna stay here 2 years. I'm moving up. Okay, I can take my equity because guess what? We already hit the bottom of the market in 2012. So we're on an upward trajectory. Home prices are climbing. Home prices are climbing. More people are getting in the market. Do you see these things that are happening? Guess what's not happening during this time period? Nobody's building a house. The home builders stopped building. So it created a deficit that has started in 2008. Now we are suffering in 2023 for several reasons. 1, the builders stopped building. 2, the government stopped incentivizing them to build. They had a lot of different regulations and things of that nature that I won't get into that said, hey, I don't know. I don't think we need to be doing this. Well, let's wait and see what happens. Okay. Everybody qualifies. You get a mortgage, you're not going into foreclosure more than likely because we seen your papers. We know how much you make if you work at Waffle House. Okay. We're not giving you a adjustable rate loan that's going to change every 6 months if we don't know that you can actually withstand those adjustments. Okay. So I heard somebody say this a long time ago. They said in mortgage, we have a 10-year cycle and a 5-year memory. So watch this. So we got, oh gosh, where's my thing? So we have President Joe Biden, who is saying, hey, I think what he's saying, hey, I think we should let people buy houses. I think everybody should be able to own a home. What can we do to help? Okay. So there's this tax credit that's going to give us 400,000 homes that's either going to be built or rehabilitated, creating the pathway for them to start building wealth, which isn't a terrible idea. I don't want anybody to think this is a terrible idea, but I want you to see the pattern that's here. So he's proposed a $10 billion down payment assistance program that would ensure first-time home buyers whose parents did not own a home can access home ownership alongside a $100 million down payment assistance pilot to expand home ownership opportunities for first generation and or low wealth first-time buyers. On its face, it sounds like a good idea.
It feels good, but I think Joy, and I don't know if you were alluding to this, but what, like you said, if HUD sets what the parameters on the max house price, there's nothing that's going to be available for people who make that, right? So it feels good, it sounds good, but the average, I mean, there are some, because there are some first generation college graduates who are making the 6 figures who may be able to qualify, and if they're married, then that 6 figures, 101 plus 101 is 202. So they may qualify, but there's still, that's not helping who it sounds like it's helping, right?
It's not.
And that, so, and when we're talking about, we're looking at the numbers, the math, the median household income, what'd you say it was 73 now or
70,000?
70,000. You're not qualifying for anything with 70,000. So it sounds good, feels good, but it's going to help a very small percentage of Americans.
Exactly. And so what is the answer? Because I mean, you hit it right on the head. A lot of times we have these conversations and we go round and round. It's the cycle. It's like, oh, it's election time. Let's bring that tactic out again.
Right. Yep.
The real solution to increasing home ownership, if we are not going to lower the price points on homes and free up opportunities for these builders to build in build lower price point homes in mass capacity, if they're not being provided with some sort of tax incentive to do so, then this is a problem that's never going to stop. And the only way that this, I don't want to say it's it's a crisis. That's the word I'm looking for. This is a housing crisis.
But Joy, where they gonna put those houses? Where they gonna put those houses at?
We got land in the South.
Yeah, but I mean, it's space to put them. But is it where anybody wants to live? I guess maybe y'all got some outskirts areas. we gonna say, okay, we gonna go build in Idaho. Don't nobody want to live there.
That is true. Yeah. So we're faced with a lot. It's layers to the problem.
Right. So, but this is real, right? Because the thing now is like, if you don't see it, this is going to be one of the last opportunities to get in. It's looking very scary for the next gen, right? If your family does not put its feet in the ground right now, it is going to be very scary for the rest of the people who come after you. So if you do not own property, if you are not building from today, I think this is an attack on, because the middle class was making a little bit of a wave, right? We were in the pandemic, people were making a wave, people were stacking money, they were making investments, we're talking about home ownership, we're talking about property, investing, not just from a single family home perspective, but I think we were making a wave. So I don't want to get into, theories or whatever it is, but I believe that this is an attack to rebalance the scale, and then it's going to be unattainable. So if you do not take on some of these principles we're going to talk about today, it might be very, very dry for your family going forward. The time is now. The next 5 years, if you do not figure it out, it is going to be very scary. I'm very scared for what's going to happen. It's going to be very unattainable for the average household.
I agree. That's it. This $100,000, this number that we've been striving for, it's nothing. It's not enough. It is not enough. The average purchase price in Charlotte, and I believe in the Atlanta metro area as well, shockingly, Charlotte is more expensive than Atlanta. Not by a whole lot, but it is. You all have more affordable, I say affordable loosely. You all have more affordable homes in that area than we do here in the city of Charlotte. And so this is why I want to push this conversation. $100,000 is not enough. And the reason why I say it is the new American nightmare is because you are living paycheck to paycheck. And people are like, they're not spending too much money. How? You have to have insurance. It's a law now. How? You got to eat every day. Well, selectively.
You do not have to Uber Eats every day, though.
I mean, I guess what's on the nutrition facts? It says like, it'll say something like a third of a cup is a.
we gotta start portion controlling, right?
Right. I suppose. Right. Right. So there are a lot of things that contribute to the fact that $100,000 is not enough. And the only people that will know it's not enough are people that have had it. And it's not to say this in an exclusionary way, but it's factual. It sounds great because you haven't had it and you haven't felt it like slip through your fingers. Like, oh, well, shit, what I do with all my money? Let me look back at my Instagram pictures. Like, what I do with my money, right? So if we understand that $100,000 isn't enough, yet we also know that $100,000 is not what most people are making. What is it that we can do to help close that gap and bring people along. Because is $100,000 easy to make? Depending on who you are, right? Personally, I kind of fell into it, but I knew it would happen one day. Like, it was never any doubt in my mind whatsoever, because I always had this idea of what my life was going to look like. I always did. Every sitcom, I identified with Regine Hunter. I identified with Hillary Banks. I identified with Tony Childs on Girlfriends. Like, I wanted to be Whitley Gilbert. Like, that was, I mean, what else was I got to have some money so I could be like these girls, right?
Yeah.
I just knew in my gut, in my soul, it just was what it was going to have to be. Let's unpack the limiting beliefs that may be there for somebody that makes $54,000 a year, because I'm going to tell you again, this is not meant to hurt anyone. I wish to God I did not have to say this. But y'all, it's not enough to buy a house in 2023. We don't have $190,000 houses in Charlotte. I mean, if we do, I ain't seen one.
Charlotte in the last 20 years has gone bonkers.
Yeah.
You used to have them. You used to have them 20 years ago. But
but it's just, it isn't enough. I as a former teacher, I never thought I would live to see the day where somebody could not buy a house. 10 years ago, you could buy a house if you made $38,000. Now, no, you can't. It's just, I don't know how. It's not happening. So what would you tell, like, what actionable steps would you provide to the person making $38,000 a year? They got a couple kids. These are college educated professionals. What would you say to them if they're like, I really want to buy a house? Like, what? Because it gets hard for me to be like, you got to make more money. Because it could be rude. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, it's a fact. So what actionable steps could you provide? Hold
on. We're talking about not making 100,000 and have two kids, or
regular, some regular life. Oh, I'm a teacher. I got two kids. I make, I don't know, $42,000 a year. I want to buy a house. What can I do? What kind of steps would you give me to move the needle? Do you think that there are limiting beliefs that are involved in that? Do you think that there are conscious choices that are happening? Like, what's the first step? Like, step one, what do we do?
I don't want to, if you are where you are, that is what it is. But I want to start with, let's not be in that situation, right?
Why you can't have kids and be a teacher?
You cannot make $48,000 and have two kids. That is what I'm saying. We just talked about how, because now 48,000, and you saying is not enough for a person, right? So how is it now enough for a family?
You can't afford kids.
Yeah, you can. The kids.
Oh, so get rid of the kids. Step one.
Well, I'm saying we're not gonna judge anybody for the situation that they're in, but I think it's just now setting the principle is that we have to stop birthing children into poverty, right? We just have to stop that, and it gets harder to make more when you're in a situation where your time is unbalanced, right? So when you have kids, you can't say I'm gonna go get a second job or do these things, because your first job is already stringing in how you taking care of your kids. So now how do you now say, okay, I'm going to invest more time from my household, especially if you're a single parent, right? Because I think it's important that we spend time with our children. So yeah, we could say two jobs and the kids are with grandma or whatever it is, but that's not how our children deserve to be living. They need to be having the support of their parent. Now, I'm not judging you if you decide like, hey, this is what the best thing to do for my family. But, so one, being financially stable before we have children. Two, going back into, whatever type of partnership suits your personal life. So whether that be a spouse, whether that be siblings, I love it's a bunch of cultures and you know, and I think it's most immigrants how they partner with their family and purchase multiple properties, right? So they'll have the whole family living in one property, and then they'll continue to build their money and pool their money, and then they'll buy another property and kind of split that up. So having partnerships. My partnership is, you know, my spouse, my wife. But if you're not in that situation, whether it be your siblings or someone else in your family who has the same mindset, you guys get yourself an LLC and you start with one house. So you don't want random people in your house, like you said, Joy. You don't want a house hack like that. A house hack with your family members, right? So it's three of y'all. Y'all start with one. Each person gets a room, and then we go get another one. And maybe the house is a little bit bigger, or maybe we can split it up and still split all the bills. But just being creative in, you know, how we value partnerships, because yeah, sometimes it is more difficult. Now those are the easy things, right? But Rico did some amazing things in the last 4 years. So let's talk about, you know, being like real strategic and creative and creating new revenue streams. So Rico, can you jump on some of those?
Yeah. Let me take a step back. 'Cause I think it all starts with like your why. What's your goal? I mean, for me, I saw my net worth, and I was like, I just finished reading an article about how Black families had the lowest net worth of any group of families, and I was like, okay, so what's my net worth? And so I checked my net worth, and it was like, oh, this is not what I wanted. So I wanted to change that. So I think it starts with like, okay, what's that goal that you have to do, that you want to accomplish? And then it's like putting a plan together and being okay to do whatever I need to do that. And maybe it's like what Jermaine talked about with the family. Who's in your ecosystem that can help you to reach that goal? Maybe it's like, hey, I need to have a roommate if you're a single person, or maybe, hey, we need to go and live with the family to save some, with grandma to save some money, or we need to downsize to get our money together so that we can be in a better position. And for me, I always say like when we talk about multiple streams of income, your job is your number one stream of income. Your job, whatever that is your number one stream of income. So when I'm talking to folks and people are asking me for advice, I say, hey, maximize that first, right? Make as much money as you can on whatever that first revenue stream is. So how do you skill up? That was something that I did. I skilled up. I went back and I learned a new discipline because I saw that people who were doing mergers and acquisitions were making 200 plus a year, and I wanted to figure out how in the hell can I get into to making that kind of money. And so I skilled up. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be as a teacher. How do you get the master's degree to skill up? What are the things you're going to do to kind of start increasing your income after you sort of reduce your cost of living?
Do you think it's appropriate to share incomes in terms of like share how much money you make with people? Because I think that there is a gap in understanding how much money people really make. And I think that sometimes we assume the worst. Well, yes, I think sometimes we assume the worst, right? Where, again, just by the nature of the job that I have, having worked in a bank, I was surrounded by money all of the time, right? So I was exposed to, some of my colleagues leveraging their homes that they lived in for 20 years, using the equity to pay for their kid to go to Davidson or pay for their kid to go to Duke. I was like, oh, shoot, I got to give me a house. Because ain't no way I'm going to save all this money for Jalen. It ain't happening. I mean, hey, you got to know your strengths and weaknesses. I knew it wasn't happening, but I was around it, The only thing that we talk about all day is commissions, commission check, money, how much you made. Did you hit this? Well, that's what we talk about. So I'm very comfortable in having those conversations. Some of my friends be like, that's all you talk about. I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, if I work in a school, I talk about the kids. Okay. Sorry.
Right.
So because I'm comfortable with it, I don't mind. I can tell you when I was transitioning from being a teacher into what I'm doing now, I went on LinkedIn and I started scrolling through LinkedIn and I was like, who look like they got a lot of money? And I started asking people, random strangers, hey, so what you do? Tell me about your job. Like, and I wanted to know. So do you think that in our community, we need to start sharing our incomes to say, hey, yeah, I made 160 last year. I made 180 last year. Because what somebody making $60,000 might think you make, they trying to keep up with a income that is triple what their income is, but they don't know because they have no idea that regular people can make that.
Yeah,
I think.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rico. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think our community, there's a big issue in our community in general with being honest about wages. I think we overinflate how much money we truly make. I think and because of that, everybody is trying to keep up with everybody and not realizing that what people are having you believe that they're earning, they're not earning. And it's causing people to spend money that they can't make because they're thinking, well, I got to keep up with this person. And so there's a major issue with understanding, being truthful about our income. So let's start there with being truthful about income. The second thing is I don't think our community understands where the money is going. Meaning we're not understanding where are the high paying industries, where are the industries that are growing, where the money is being made. At all. I mean, today when I walk in some of the rooms that I'm in, I'm the only person of color that's in those rooms. And when I talk to other people that I know, I don't think they know about these types of career fields or even types of things that they can get into that can help them to make more money to have the lifestyle they want.
So what are these things? Share with us. Inquiring minds want to know. What are these jobs?
I mean, if you look at software engineers, there's not enough people of color in software engineering. There's not enough people of color in artificial intelligence, autonomous driving, electrical batteries, electrical power, the whole EV industry. I don't see enough of our folks in those industries, and then I don't see enough of our folks starting businesses, like legitimate businesses that can create wealth. Because what I learned living in Silicon Valley is that business ownership and business creation is the single biggest entry into wealth generation. Is starting your own business. And I'm not talking about doing what you see on everything you see on Instagram. I'm saying really understanding what's out there and what can you get into to help to create wealth for you and your family.
Yeah, and not just
my way to wealth.
You might catch a wave, but even you can. So people think they have to be creative and start the new thing. You can buy a business, right? So and I agree. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. We started a business, and I was gonna let's get back to everybody. Talk about no cash is not king no more. Listen, get you an income stream that Uncle Sam can't have his hands in your pocket, right? So are we getting back to these businesses where you could stack 25,000 in a year and if you're getting paid cash, is nothing is getting touched. You can stack that on top of what your income is, right? But laundromat, simple. We got to stop trying to have sexy things to do, right? Get to where the money is flowing. What's cash flowing?
Money. I was
the biggest. Like that laundromat money is real because everybody's paying for convenience,
money
right?
laundering. I was like,
I mean that too. If you could get with it, then get with it. But whatever. Like, listen, whatever you can make happen and stay out of jail and get to that money, right? So I want you to stay legal, but there's so many different ways. Trust me, these rich MFs ain't playing fair. So so I'm not saying do dirty, but what I'm saying is do what you got to do to get your family right. So whether it's braiding hair or if it's buying a business, whatever it doesn't have to be sexy. You don't even got to talk about it, but you got to do something that's going to get you the money. So shout out to the people who are, doing Uber Eats or whatever it is to make some extra money. I want to see what it really makes them after they pay for these car repairs and, and all this wear and tear on your car that we're not talking about. But,
Yeah, because I don't
you know,
recommend it. It's terrible.
but whatever,
Horrible.
right? Whatever, do what you can do something. But what you can't be doing is sitting home crying about, that this is a problem because there are people making it. So, I love being an entrepreneur because I get to determine how much I make, versus my W-2 income where I got to, wait and see, am I going to get this raise, and especially if you're not in a, it's there's like this big gap. And like Rico said, you got to get into a field because in the tech field, in the financial services field, those people are getting paid and they're getting their increases annually, that clockwork. But a lot of times in that under 100K fields, the increases are not happening like that, right? And that may just be that, maybe you don't have a degree and there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to just be a little bit more creative. So one, finding your way into a field and getting some certifications or some education where you can change your trajectory, or saying, okay, I'm going to max out whatever I can do here. And then I got to find a second income that's going to supplement that. Um, so yeah, I think, just being creative, but yeah, it is, what is it? Buybiz.com, Rico? Is that one
Yeah,
of them?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can get together with some people and you can buy an existing business. There's a lot of baby boomers who are retiring now who just want to, step out of the field. What's up, son? And what's going on, brother? Uh, so there's businesses that can be purchased that we can implement technology into and raise the worth of that business and then resell it right after. So you can stay for the cash flow, or we can buy it, raise it up, and then sell it. But just education, right? Education is so important. I try to listen to or read at least one book a month. I try to just hear other people, like, because inside of our networks, if you make less than 100,000, your network likely is not giving you new ideas and new information and new tools. You have to be exposed, and it's so easy today to be exposed to people who have new information. So information, and that's what it is. Like we gotta get off Instagram and nothing wrong, have your fun, whatever it is, but we have to be more educated than we are entertained.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to push back a little bit. I'm still a teacher with my 2 kids. You ain't told me nothing. What can I do? I'm trying to get to the money so I can buy this house. What can I do? Actionable
You
items.
know,
You
you know
told me
what?
you can't throw the
Yeah,
kids
let's
away.
talk about it.
You said
Listen,
throw the kids away. That ain't gonna
I
work
mean, so you talking about a single mom?
out. Sure. Okay, she can be single. That's
All
fine.
right, you know what? Link up with another single mom, and y'all put the kids in one room in some bunk beds, and y'all stack your bread together, right? Like, because, or you got to move back in with your family if you have that. But I'm going to say a lot of people probably don't have that luxury, because they that's just not what's happening these days. Grandmas is not, allowing you, but maybe you got to sacrifice and say, hey, I can't be out partying and clubbing no more because mama said, listen, you're gonna be here, watching these kids, right? So, I think it's just about making true sacrifices, right? Um, but tech nighttime jobs, right? We could do, work. There's so many work from home jobs, right? So if you got to pick up a $25 an hour customer service, job, tech, whatever it is, working from home is makes things. People are double dipping. I got a friend who has 3 6-figure incomes, 3 different W-2 jobs,
Doing what?
right? He's doing consulting. So now he's super efficient and he's a genius. I love talking to him, but he he is stacking them up on top of each other. So he's managing his schedules and he's managing them. Some are in different time zones, so they have just a small overlap. Some of whatever shift it is, but we got to get creative. We got to start sacrificing, right? But yeah, picking up work from home jobs and stacking them on top of each other and maybe you only do that for half the year, so it's not as intense. Um,
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff people can do. I mean, one of the
No,
first
not
things
people.
one
This
of the first things
teacher.
that I did,
What does this teacher do? Because y'all,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling
Let's
you,
talk about
I'm trying to
let's
stick to this for a reason. This is a very serious
tutoring.
scenario.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
paid. I paid. Yeah, I paid. I think last year, I was paying $700 a month in tutoring for my son. Um, do after school tutoring. Listen, I personally, you want to work for people who have money, right? I am at a point now where my time is valuable. I'm not my time is not best served doing homework. So I'm going to pay somebody to help my son with his homework, right? So get around some wealthy people and create a service for them. So if you're a teacher, you're qualified to tutor. So you can start a tutoring service. So whether, probably don't want to go as personal into the kids in your classroom, but there are some people in your area, and my tutoring was over Zoom, right? So you can do this from home while you're still being a support system and keeping your children safe. You got to put them in a room for an hour or two, but tutoring for a teacher is an easy way to make an extra $500 a month. Easy way. So that's actionable right there.
Okay, easy, actionable. I like it. The reason why I'm like really wanting to drill down is because, like I said, I think that a lot of times we throw these things out, but like I said, I need you to tell me step one. Like I need it laid out specifically. You got to provide. When I was teaching, what we call scaffolding, right?
Right.
So, like, let's set somebody up for success because yeah, there are 4 people in the chat right now, but there'll probably be 200 people that end up seeing this. I don't know. One of them 200 people might have subscribed and they like, God, I ain't never gonna get a house because Joyce said I gotta make $100,000. I ain't never gonna make 100. Okay, so what? That is going to be impactful. Like I'm telling y'all, like YouTube is a very powerful vehicle. You never know who's gonna hear it. Like what you're saying right now could change the trajectory of somebody's life. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
like, nope, I want to be absolutely clear on what is the thing that somebody can get off of here and go do
Right.
tomorrow. Because
But so also, and
no $100,000 jobs consulting.
right. So I
Yeah,
also wore this shirt on purpose too, right? Because maybe teaching is your passion, right? But we got to be living in purpose, right? So maybe you need to get into a different career field because obviously America still hasn't figured out a way to pay our teachers what they deserve and what is a fair living wage, right? Then, but that's where we can't control that, right? So if you may love teaching, but if that's not going to support your household, you need to make a conscious decision that maybe I need to get into a different field, right? So now I know a lot of two-parent household teaching works because you have one high earner and you have one person who has a flexible schedule, right? You have the summer off to spend with your children. So, I grew up in a household like that. My mother wasn't a teacher, but she worked in the school system. So my dad worked, a really good job, whatever it was. My mom made decent money, but she was available for us after school and in the summer, right? So that worked for a two-parent household. But yeah, we have to start making decisions where um, I don't believe that our counterparts who are wealthy are staying in low-paying jobs because they love it. They're doing what they have to do in the career fields that are paying the best or the businesses that are paying the best so they can make moves for their family. So I think we've been fed this live your passion, work in your passion thing. So you can shift to a $80,000 a year job if you're making 48, and now you can still fulfill your passion do it as a side hustle by tutoring. So now we've now tripled our income by increasing our W-2 income as our main career by going into a higher paying career field, and now I can tutor. So now my passion is still being fulfilled on the side. But your passion does not have to be your main source of income if your career field is not paying to support you and your family.
yeah. I'm a huge fan of taking the money you do have and investing into other things to create money. for you. And it doesn't have to be anything complicated. I mean, for instance, I was creating low content material like coloring books and activity books that I was putting on Amazon. Doesn't take a whole lot to create something like that. And if I'm a teacher, I'm leveraging what I already know, which is education, and I'm using that to create things that connect to that, because it's easier for you to create things that connect to what you already do. So if I'm a teacher, I'm creating activity books for kids. I'm selling on Amazon. I'll create a tutoring service where I'm offering tutoring hours for folks. Maybe cooperative economics. I'm a big fan of cooperative economics. Maybe I'm connected with a whole bunch of other teachers, and I'm offering a summer enrichment program or some camps in order to help generate income. There's so many things that we can do. We just have to be really creative. But it starts with that goal. What's the goal? Why are you doing it? What do you want to do? You making 40,000? Are you trying to get to 60,000? How do you make that extra 20,000? You start breaking it down into chunks and say, okay, if I can sell this many activity books, I can get 10,000. If I can do this many tutoring sessions, I can get another 10,000. And that's how you start to create those multiple streams of income and start to increase the amount of money you have.
Okay. So Terrell Key is a school assistant principal, counselor. I always forget because I always call him a principal. But anyway, he's in the St. Louis area. And so he chimed in. He said $500 per month is $6,000 more per year. As a new teacher, I started off making $31,000, but now they make around $40,000. And I think it's also important to note that Terrell is the same age that we are. So he's managed to increase his income quite a lot because, again, he's taken on leadership roles. He has a YouTube channel, and I think he is a paid public speaker. So he travels and does educational speaking engagements. So he's found ways to create multiple streams of income through the education vehicle. So I think that's great. So those was actionable items. Okay, so now hold on, let me make up somebody else. So if I make $70,000, and because let me give y'all some facts. Okay, so in Charlotte, the average purchase price is about $420,000. So everybody wants the average house. They want the 4-bedroom, even though they one person, brand new house, all of these things. Okay. So you make $70,000 because isn't that what I said? The median, right? So $70,000 divided by 12 is $5,833 a month, and we divide it by 2 to determine, what your allowed debt to income ratio can be. So that means I can have $2,900 a month in debt. So if I want to buy a $400,000 house, I got a problem. I don't make enough. So what do you suggest for the person that's like, I ain't never going to be able to get the house that I want? Do you recommend that maybe they get a lesser house to start being able to be a homeowner? Or what are your thoughts about that? So they're right there. They can buy a house. They earn some money, but maybe not enough to get the house that they want.
Yeah, I mean, I think ownership is very important. I mean, I think especially if you're making 70,000, yeah. Why do we need a three, like you said, a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom as a single person? And the longer we wait, so I made a post today and it said, we talk about timing in the real estate market, and the most important timing is length, right? So we want to get into a property as soon as possible so we can start building equity, right? So an equity comes into fruition for when you want to make, investments like your children's education, or if you want to buy another business asset. So whether it be a business or another property, so you can, if you start today and in 5 years, we have another housing boom and your equity grows, you can pull out 100K from your smaller home and put it towards this, 4-bedroom when you have a family, when you need that. But why does a person with making 70,000, why do we need that dream house? That's to post in front of it with the key and the soul sign and say, I did it. You
Yes,
know,
absolutely. That's the most important thing, isn't it?
it doesn't make sense, right? But I
It
do think
does.
it does make sense
That's
to
great.
own. Right, right. We're doing it for the gram, right? But I want to touch too, man, because I think we let's get back to love. Love is an easy way to increase your income, right?
So who
Because
y'all
you get
want me to over here
because
this homecoming?
because 70 plus 70 is 140. So if you got 270,000, now you're into the four-bedroom. So let's like that's the easy way, and then you done increase your revenue and you still get to chill a little bit and you get to have some fun with somebody. But
Oh Lord.
we and our egos are around, partnerships and what we supposed to have, but we got to get back to that. That's the listen, a life partner, however you want that to look like, is the cheat code to wealth in America.
I
Um,
Yeah, it
absolutely
is.
agree.
Business 101, right? Cut
right,
your
right,
costs, increase the amount of
yeah,
income you got going in.
and
Makes sense to me.
yeah, people, I do think you should marry for love, but I do understand that marriage is a partnership, and I think we need to just be more open to the conversation, and not just do it for the partnership. I hope you do find somebody that you love and you want to be with, but we gotta understand that is it makes sense, and we have got to figure out a way to get our families back together, so that we can continue to build wealth together.
That's something that they talk about on YouTube a lot. So, Real Bravado, I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but he has a YouTube channel almost exclusively about building the Black family. He constantly talks about Black men being responsible and doing the right things and all that jazz. And somebody made a comment about you, Jermaine, talking about them women gonna get you because you was
They're gonna
like,
come.
why?
Listen, my my wife always tell me don't talk on that subject, but I felt like it was needed. We had to keep it real in here.
You gotta keep
Um,
it real. It
because
is.
we gotta and we gotta have these tough conversations, right? And I think that we're scared to talk about like the things that are gonna hurt feelings in our community, but it's just so real. Like I'm it bothers me. Like I just don't understand how and things happen. And so I'm not beating up on anybody who's in a situation, but we have to make it known if you can't take care of yourself, you're not in position to take care of a child. And so we just have to, that's going to slow down a whole lot, because then we just continue this cycle that continues to happen. So I don't want to get too beat up on it, but we got to stop raising children into poverty. I feel like we're breeding slaves, because now that child grows up in a poverty-stricken home without resources and without, education. And now they're just working in these minimum wage jobs, continuing to make the rich people richer and just continue to make this wealth gap grow even more. So we have just got to control the things that we can control, uh, which is our spending, which is our decisions and things like that. But controlling what we can control, we can't control inflation. We can vote and put people in office, but trust me, the powers that be are not going to lose control of this country. They are not going to make it easy for you. They're going to put things in place that try to fool you to think that they're not doing what they're doing, but this is on purpose. So your success also has to be on purpose.
Now that's a word. I like that. Your success, you gotta put that on a t-shirt. Your success has to be on purpose because it's true.
Yeah,
It's that is honest. That's probably like the truest statement I've heard all day. Your success has to be on purpose. It has to be intentional. You have to plan for it. And planning for it is not playing the lottery.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Sorry.
so, so, we talked about purpose and like just the goals and things like that. So one of the things that drives me, I think this is an important factor. One of the things that drives me is that one, I want my son to if he decides he wants to go to college, I think that this what's happening in the climate for this next generation is changing. So I think there is an opportunity to go back to success without college education, but it is another field. And I'm an entrepreneur, so I see entrepreneurship in my son's future. So he doesn't have to go beg for a job anywhere. But if he wants to go to college, I'm going to be able to pay for that. And I'm also going to put him in a position where I set him up with a investment property, right? So these are things that are driving me. And I also want to live my life and vacation and have wealth and retire by the time my son is age 18. So these are the things that I have in mind that are like, okay, well, this is how much money it costs to do that, right? So I'm not just sitting around saying, okay, I'm gonna just put the matching in my 401k. I'm gonna do this. It's like, no, you need an extra 50,000 this year to buy another asset and whatever. And am I on track to do that? The fire is under me. It's not just okay, this is what's happening. Like I have a real goal, a real marker to meet. So you have to have goals for yourself. Otherwise, we're not doing it on purpose. We're just allowing this to happen. So those high goals push me into finding a way. I have to, like, this has to happen. There's no, I hope this happens. If it happens, it sounds nice. I have things that have to happen in my life. So I think when you create those, that's when things start happening.
Yeah, I would agree. And this is why that arbitrary $100,000 thing don't make sense. Because we're just saying $100,000 because our friend said it, somebody else said
Right.
it. But what are you trying to do? What are you trying to create? I mean, similar to Jermaine, that's what drives me. I have a goal. I know what I'm trying to create. I know what I'm trying to establish for my family, and that's what I'm creating. So I think that's what people got to have. Whether it's buying a house or whatever you want, like why? What's the point? What's the purpose behind it all?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think get around. So I would say too, if you're making under six figures, find your way in a circle of people who are making that, right? So I'm an entrepreneur and I live okay and I make good money. I probably am more creative than making as much as my counterparts, my counterparts in tech, or have been in the financial services industry since we graduated now, coming on 20 years, right? They are making easy 300, some 500, some 700, some with their compensation packages, seven figures, right? I'm nowhere near that, right? But I'm inspired by that. And when I hear what they're making and what they're doing, I'm like, well, shit, I gotta go do this, right? I know. So I happen to be in a group called the Net Worth Warriors. It's a group of college friends, and every every 6 months we share our balance sheet and we share our whole net worth, right? So
Really?
I get to see where they're excelling at. I get to see we talk about things that are working for each other. So that goes to your point where you keeping it real. Like you could say, yeah, I'm doing all this, but when that that profit and loss statement, that balance sheet goes in front of everybody, you can't hide from that, right? So we're sharing publicly. So now I get to see. I'm like, man, like oh damn, my friend got 800,000 in his 401k. Like, whoo, I don't have a 401k because I'm an entrepreneur, but I've got to figure out how to start. Now, I can't get too far left behind because I'm seeing what success is on paper right in front of me, right? I'm not letting these brothers leave me. Like they showing me what it is. And so I think it's back to being real and being in community. But this is not just with anybody. This got to be about people who want to see you win. Don't be opening up your bank statements for people who might ask you for money, in a few weeks, right? Get around some real people who are committed to winning and committed to seeing you win and have real conversations. Because real time is just about like for me, the stock market is just not my thing, right? And I know a lot of people are winning in it. So I take some advice, but I just know for me that's just not where I excel at. I don't have the stomach for it, I like to say. And I got some money in the stock market, but I'm not day trading or doing individual purchases on it. It's just not my thing. but I'm buying real estate. In the last 2 years, I've invested. I would say since 2001, I've probably invested almost 300,000 into real estate. And I'm just in it. I'm finding this money, whatever it is, and that money is now not only growing because the asset is growing and gaining equity, but it's also cash flowing. So so like Rico said, put investing your money into things that create money for you. So it's not just about saving. Sometimes we got to put our money to work, right? So we're thinking about case our children's college fund. You're just putting that $6,000 away under the mattress for 18 years. At some point, you get 35,000 or whatever the number is right for you to make an investment. You got to put that money to work. So now it's safe in the asset, but it's also making you even more money. Maybe it's the stock market, whatever it is, you find something you're comfortable with, that you're knowledgeable on, that you're willing to take the risk on, and you got to let your money work for you. So that's another thing that we don't do in our community is take risk and allow our money to work for us. So I just which how we only got 24 hours in a day. And if your main job is not putting you into a mid to high six figures, then when we talk about six figures, we talk about 250 or better. You really got to be real creative with, the money you are making. Um, so yeah, we got to stop being, scared to take risks. Now we got, and I know Joe, we talk about some of the stuff behind the scene, but we got some people flashing the shiny thing in front of us, and that's not real to get to what we got to get to. And but scared money also don't make no money. So we have to be willing. You should make an educated decision and do your research and be wise with where you put it. But we do have to move our money, and we got to let go of it. We got to let it go so it can grow. Just like children, right? At some point, we got to let them go so they can grow. So our money is like children. We do a little bit of stuff, we steward, we baby it up, we grow them, but at some point you got to let it out and allow it to do its thing.
I love that y'all got this friend group. Like that just like it gave me like
Yeah,
a warm, fuzzy feeling. Like I love that because a lot of times in our community we isolate ourselves. Like, no,
right.
you can't know what I'm doing. It's a secret. And
Yep.
so that I'm gonna chop this up and turn it into like a short or something, put it on YouTube. Because
Yeah.
people need to hear that. Because I would have never. I think I saw that one time. This gentleman, I think it might have been like a TikTok or something like that. And he said that, I mean, it was a white guy. Him and his friends would do that for vacations.
Mm.
And so I think he called this one guy Broke Bob. And so the idea was they put all their chips on the table, like, okay, we're going on vacation. Where we going? And everybody would share like however much money that they had. Like, okay, and it was a whole thing, and it went viral because people were like, oh my gosh, like I would never do that. Either I'm coming on, and they found all the reasons in the world why they would never do that.
Right.
But I think that some of the things that you just said, I'm 40, never heard it. It should be normalized. And
Mm.
I congratulations to y'all. Like that is amazing. Shout out to the Aggies. All
Yeah.
right. Let's really quickly talk about limiting beliefs, and then we can kind of like wrap it up a little bit. But
Right.
I want to address the why. So even though this fictitious teacher got 2 kids, and she worked, she got her degree, she do all of these things, why do you think? Because you started talking about some serious numbers a minute ago, right? We say, oh, I made 6 figures. What do you think it is about our belief systems? What do you think it's fear? Do you think it's scarcity? Do you think it's a lack of exposure, a lack of financial education? Why is it that, like I said, 101, we're done, right? Never really truly imagining the idea somebody can make 550.
I mean, a lot of us have never had anyone in our family make that type of money. So if everybody around you is telling you you're the man, then you think you're the man, right? So if you the pride and joy of the family at 101, then I'm gonna take that cape and I'm gonna be superhero, right? So again, that's what we say about ex, opening our circuit and being around people who make more. Um, it's just is I think it's just us rebranding the conversation. But you also probably people may be in a field where 550 is just not a reality, you know? So, and now the entry point for new career fields is open, right? There's ways that there are people making I think there are probably people who are less educated probably making more money now, or in a sense of numbers of degrees, right? You got people making, like you said, and for tech certifications, or coding and things like that. These people are in position to make infinite amounts of money, right? Versus where we got people graduating with 4-year degrees who are struggling to even find employment, right? So I think it's just, yeah, I think that's what it is. Them being the highest earner in their family makes them seem like, I've made it. And if you're not putting yourself in a position to network or speak to, where it's not around a bragging point or people who are making different amounts, then you feel comfortable. You feel comfortable. And like I said, this also, like you said, this happened in the last 2 years where 100,000 really became the new 50,000. So it's where they're just feeling it very harshly. Uh, but yeah, I think that's what it is. Rico, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a limiting factor in our mindset. You think about it, most black folks that come up, you're told, uh, only white people can do this, or only these people can do this, or you're always told to behave a certain way. You're always told there are rules, and then you have to sort of create in your mind that there are no rules. The rules don't exist. It's all made up. It's all fiction. And once you get rid of those rules, and start to believe that anything is possible, then you start to look at, you know, what kind of money you can make, what are the possibilities, what are opportunities at, what are they doing? Why can't I do that?
Yep.
That's the mindset change. I think the other thing that gets us is this like scarcity mentality. I remember the first time I made $70,000, my family was like, "You made it. Yeah, you've arrived. You made it." And I told them, "Hey, I'm going to quit my job and go back to the school to get a degree." And I remember a family member saying, "You're going to quit your good job and go be poor again to get to get a degree? Why in the hell would you do that?" Because I was able to see that, hey, um, I had this really life changing situation where I met this guy who was just extremely successful, and a lot of people were like kind of hating on him or whatever. And I asked him, "Hey, can I have coffee with you?" And he just opened my mind to the possibilities of like the world and income and things you could do. And I just started doing the stuff that he told me to do. And I went back to school to get a business degree so that I could break into some of the stuff that he had already done. Uh,
Right.
and and so once I did that, I realized like there are no rules. Uh, only thing that's in your way is what you don't know.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Once you
I,
know,
I- yeah. I'll speak to some of that too, right? So, I'm my parents are both retired as city employees. My dad from New York City Transit, and my mom in the Board of Education. So when I opened up my bakery, for the first 5 years of having my bakery, my father every year would ask me, "So you want to take the transit test?" So becoming a transit employee in New York is like the easy cheat code. You could get in, you can be fine, retire, whatever it is. But I literally invested my whole life into opening up my store, and my father was still telling me, get this good job with a pension, whatever it is, and now he looking at my success, and so now he no longer is asking me if that's what I'm doing. But a lot of times our family members mindset is so old and not fitting of the time, and we're taking advice, and we have these opinions of these people who are not qualified to guide us or to encourage us. And I took it. I knew that he meant love out of it, but I knew where my destiny and my destination was. But if had I not had that certainty inside of my soul, I may have said, you know what, why am I going to go do this hard entrepreneurial stuff where the road was very rough, and I was not making what I'm making now when I started, but now I've catapulted, because I stayed down, 10 toes down, and I built this business up to create something, magical for me and my family. But the generations, we're not living in a generation of our parents. What they did that works will not work for us.
What they
So
did five
again,
years ago won't work.
well, yeah, exactly. We just 5 years removed for what won't work. But I think again it's just and they were loving and they were supporting. They gave me a great foundation to stand on. But I imagine for people with families that are giving advice or guiding them or pushing them in certain fields that just are not the ways of success. But we have so many guides on. Like I wake up every morning and I try to watch some interviews on YouTube, and I hope y'all waking up every morning and checking out the mortgage boss and what she talking about, because she dropping gems on her YouTubes. But yeah, like we gotta find people who are giving information. If it's not in our immediate circle, that's no longer an excuse. It's really no longer an excuse. So open your network, get new information, and start deleting the old information that does not work.
If someone does not have exposure to immediate people, like again, I swear y'all, I'm not trying to beat up on the teachers. Like shout out to the educators of America.
Right.
If I'm teaching everybody around me, we all make the same amount. How would you recommend that I go and seek out a new circle of people? Now, I can say personally, I joined the Junior League of Charlotte, which is a women's volunteer organization.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of wealthy white women over there. I remember and my little what is it called? Michael Kors. But I was like, oh, I can't take that in there. Oh God. I gotta leave that let me put
Right.
let's see, right? It was different. So where would you, again, actionable items, where would you recommend someone go? And y'all, there's no age limit on anything that we're talking about. You don't have to be no 22-year-old kid. You can be a 45-year-old woman. If you hate your life and you've been hating your life, and you probably gonna hate your life in 5 years, today is the day.
Today is the day.
What actionable thing, what can Miss 45-year-old teacher do to immerse herself or himself in a new circle of people that has the money that you're talking about? Because what is it like if you got 3 broke friends, you're gonna be the 4th or whatever the same. So where can they go?
I mean, listen, Instagram connects us easily, right? So I would say just reach out to someone. So I had an investment property, but I reached out, I saw one of my peers who I had a casual relationship with who was winning in real estate. And, he had about 5 properties at the time. And I said, you know what? I see what you're doing. I want to learn from you. What can we do? You're going to be my friend, and I want to do a deal with you. And this is now my business partner and one of my closest friends, and we've done 5 deals together. Now, just being transparent, saying I see you winning at what you're winning at. Mm-hmm. I want to learn, right? How can I be an asset to you so I can just be around and learn? And then there's just networking organizations, right? So find, like you said, you found the junior league, find a networking organization. Most times they're free or low annual fee. I've never been, so I can't co-sign it, but we got InvestFest, where 20,000 beautiful brown people came together peacefully, and they had some stuff. But you know what, the hoopla and the what was on the stage, what was some good information, but that was a network of people committed to winning, right? So it's that those are places you want to be at. People who said, I'm going to invest in myself and go somewhere. You want to be around those people, you know, that your new best friend, somebody who got the same mindset as you or the same hunger as you, or y'all can put y'all two asset classes you're together. And when I say assets, I mean your mental asset, like what your strength is and what their strength is. That's where you want to be. So just get outside, get off the internet and get outside. But if you are on the internet, be finding people that are not just entertaining you, but who are educating you.
Rico, what do you think?
Yeah,
Actionable
I would
things.
agree. I love meetup groups, like meetup, real estate meetups. I've gone to a few of those, just to meet other people and just to pick something, uh, pick up some information. Those are great. Just finding people that that are doing what you're doing, that are doing what you want to do, whether it's Facebook, social media, LinkedIn. I did the same thing. There was a person who was doing really well in real estate. I went and just spent the whole Saturday with them and just shadowed them, like, all right, what are you doing? Like, let me
Yep.
let me just shadow you. I'll carry your bags. What do you need me to do? Like, being humble and open enough to say, hey, um, I'm not there in this particular area. Can I just spend some time with you and do whatever you need me to do in order for me to learn? I
Yep.
think there's a lot that people can do with doing that, and grabbing coffee. Like the gentleman I had coffee with was probably that 30-minute conversation probably changed my life. Just taking a few minutes to just talk to somebody who's doing what you want to do and learning.
Yeah, and people are open to doing that. Like you'd be surprised. It sounds intimidating, but if you want to pat me on my back and tell me you see me, and you want to take me out to coffee, if I'm a genuine person, I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm going to join you, right? Because thank you for seeing me, thank you for acknowledging me. You'd be surprised. People are willing. People who are not selling their time for service, if they're just winning and excelling and they're a great person, they are more than willing to give up their time, especially if it's to support somebody who's serious about making a change in their life.
Mhm.
And I'll say this one thing too, and this goes back to what you were talking about earlier, Jermaine. Uh, Having some goals, having a purpose, and having some passion, and making that clear and evident to everybody in your current circle will help you a lot. Because if people know what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish, they'll connect you to people who are doing that, and that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help you be successful, in my opinion.
Yep.
No, I love it. I absolutely agree with everything that you guys said. That was actionable. Like I said, the whole goal for me for this particular show is literally to give people something that they can walk away with and implement starting tonight. Just
Hey,
one thing can change everything. And I think that some of the things that you guys touched upon, like I said, I went on LinkedIn and I was like, hey, you make a lot of money. What's up? Like I did
yeah,
that, when I was leaving education and I got into this field. Um, Exposing yourself to a different circle. I have a friend and she's like super duper into like volunteering. And I was like, you can make a lot of money, right? And he's like, no, I'm okay. I don't, you can make a lot of money. And guess what? After a year of me like, you should make more money,
right.
she makes more money. Okay. So
Is this through the
definitely
action
makes a
that she was
difference.
volunteering?
Hmm?
Is this was she was is she making money by what she was doing volunteering?
Yes, but she could have been making so much more. It was one of those
Okay,
like, oh, wife, like I'm so sorry, teachers. I swear I'm not talking bad about it. It's like, oh, I like teaching because it makes me feel good. Like,
right.
okay, girl.
Right.
No, so
Right.
that's the other
Right.
thing. But again, it's having those conversations and kind of pushing your friends' boundaries and pushing them along. It's like, hey, you know, like, hey, have you thought about getting a certification? Hey, have you thought and opening up those conversations recently? I have been exposed to investors. Now, of course, I'm in real estate. I don't. I own the house that you looking at me in right now. I want to get into investing. It was something I said I would do in my 40s, and apparently, I'm 40. And then it was this whole world opened up to me over like the last 60 days of these young boys. I mean, they're children. They're like wholesaling homes and they're fixing and flipping. And I met this guy. He's like a truck driver. And we were talking about some things. And I was like, okay, I want to meet you, right? Not like romantically talking, because y'all,
Right.
hey, America, I'm very single. Okay. So not like that. But he was building a home and he's building several. He's building, I think he said 25 houses next year. And I'm like, you black and you build houses for like people to live in? And I didn't know it was a thing. $1.7 million house. I'm like, oh, I want to see. I changed the game. I was like, okay.
What? Each house 1.7? Each house 1.7?
No, he has a couple that's over $1 million. I know he's doing 3 or 4 of that particular floor plan, but then the other homes that he's building, I think they're gonna be like 4s, something like that, 400.
Okay.
But that blew my mind, right? But it all comes out of exposure. I walked away from that one meeting. I talked to this man for a grand total of probably 3 hours in my life. And I was like, I gotta make more money. I came home, and in case y'all don't know, if you want to buy a house, generally speaking, your salary times 3.5 is gonna give you about what you can afford for a purchase price. I was like, I gotta make $550. I gotta figure this out. I had a whole different outlook. I ain't never really thought. I was like, oh, $250, I'm good. Nope. Not enough. And it's okay. And you got to find your people. There's a book called Who Not How that I read recently. So it goes along with what you guys just talked about. You don't got to figure out the plan. You just need to find the people that can put you in the game. The people that can help you get the thing that you want. Who Not How. It's an amazing book. So if you guys haven't read it, you should read it.
Right.
But yeah, it is all about exposure. We want to make sure that we're exposing people. Now,
I'm sorry, George. I think you said 3.5 times your annual salary is about what you can afford in a home.
In a purchase price. Yeah. That's
a purchase price.
Payment. You can go maybe up to 5 interest rates,
Right.
But
today 3.5 is a good number.
3.5 is a comfortable number.
Okay. So I think that is a good thing for people to take away from today. So be real with yourself. You know what houses are going for in your area. Do your household income times 3.5. If you way short of the average house, then it's time to make some more money. So I think it's just because we just say, oh, make 6, make 5, whatever it is. That's the real. We believe in home ownership. The studies show it is the number one way to wealth. So if you are not in the trajectory that 3.5 times gets you the average home in your area, you need to get to that point. So do the reverse math and get to that point.
That's it. That's all it is. I mean, that's not all.
I know you talk about this all day in your day-to-day life, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, roughly 3.5 times your annual salary will give you a comfortable purchase price in terms of a home. A lot of people really push that boundary, but I get it. Desperate times, desperate measures. I completely understand. But yeah, so kind of circling back to something that you said, and I think this is a good place to kind of wrap everything up in a nice bow. You mentioned InvestFest. And so I have something on here that I call What's the T in Mortgage? Because, I like to gossip a little bit. Okay. I do. Yeah. So, y'all, what's the T in mortgage this week as it pertains to real estate?
We talking about season envy?
Baby, your boy going to jail, y'all. Okay. I did my live stream on Tuesday. And I jokingly said, I was like, oh, when the boys pull up in them black SUVs.
Yeah. You know what's going down.
And they pulled up in them black SUVs the very next day.
Yeah.
Y'all, DJ Envy is in trouble. Okay. I highlight that to say this entire 2 hours we've been talking about training your mind to think bigger. We've been talking about how you can insulate yourself or surround yourself with influential people that can help you change your mindset, and remove some of those limiting beliefs that you have. What is it about the Black culture specifically that we want this get rich quick by any means necessary, flat tummy tea our way to the top? Whatever the thing is, the new way. I know courses was the wave a couple of years ago. Drop shipping was the wave. Just all of these things. But right now, DJ Envy and was Cesar Pena, it's like they are blowing the roof off this thing, because the guys that were investing, and I'm sure everybody in the chat knows, but quick recap in case you don't. DJ Envy's on the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God. By all rights, he's considered successful. He's reached the top of the food chain in urban radio. He makes a decent money. So he has money he can invest in other areas. Well, he decided that he wanted to hook up with some convicted felon to get on the radio and start doling out real estate advice to people. Not only giving out real estate advice to people, but inviting them in. Come on in, the water's fine over here. Yeah, bring your $200,000 with you. And so Caesar, also known as Flippin' NJ, like flipping, flipping bricks or keys. I don't know the right language, but flipping, and you can house flip. So it's like a double entendre. Flipping New Jersey, NJ. So he's like, oh, I ain't had no money and I built this $15 million empire because I ain't had, I was flipping houses. Okay, cool. He said, we're going to teach y'all how to do this. And so not only were people like, ooh, sign me up. They was like, sign me up to the tune of, I'm going to give you, man I've never met in my entire life. I've heard you on the radio a few times. $200,000, $400,000. $895,000. And you when you talking about money like that, that means you have the money to give away. You ain't just like barely scraping by. So it really is making me think to myself, what about our culture, regardless, it seems like regardless of how much money you make, there's this need to want to try and do it faster, to want to try to, I don't even know the words to put to it, because it is just so mind-blowing to me. I would never give you my money. But apparently it was attractive enough for people to, like I said, give hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. So my question is, what is it about our culture that you feel would make us want to do that? And then just to kind of close everything out, any tips and tricks, advice moving forward?
So, Joy, let me ask you: would you give somebody $55,000 into a real estate project and invest with them?
Not DJ Envy. He's a disc jockey. He's a traveling disc jockey.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I would say I do want to say that they did sell a picture of them being very successful in the real estate market. So they painted the picture, they did a nationwide tour, and they had people involved. So you'll say you had MG, the mortgage guy, right? Who is very active with Earn Your Leisure, who seems reputable, who is doing some good business. I don't know him personally, but they put together a lot of people and they were doing seminars across the country, and it seemed like it was goodwill, right? Now, we were in the last 5 years, house flipping, wholesaling, and people getting into investment properties has just blown up, which I'm happy about. because it is the wealth principle. But people, it is a very it's depending on where you're at, especially if you're in the north, it's very difficult to compete in the real estate market, right? So, if you're in Ohio or if you're in the South and things like that, where at some point there were houses under 200,000, you could figure out how to do it. Now, which is no excuse, because I figured out how to purchase a property out of the country, but then you don't have to purchase properties in your region. You can buy property anywhere in the world, right? But they sold people that they were the experts. Um, and we do like get rich quick schemes, but I think that I would like to think that people were very honest and just thinking that they had some people who were winning inside of inside of this marketplace, and they could put their money to good use. So,
But
but
why
yes,
not use
real
a
estate,
realtor?
yeah, right. But real estate is not a get rich, and that's what we just got to know. Real estate, you can make a nice bag, but the
Mhm.
real thing is not get rich quick. Is buy and hold. You can do some flips to build your cash up, but you don't get rich off of one flip. A flip, you flip, you flip, you flip, and you stack up, and then you buy a building or an asset that you want to keep. So, but yeah, we love that dangly fruit. We do love it, but I think it's just important that we know that winning in real estate is not an overnight. It is the real winners or the people who have that 20 plus years and they allow things to happen over time. Those are the real winners. But it sounded good. They painted a good picture.
Not-
I don't know, Rico. Rico, did you follow what they were doing?
Yeah, I did see that, and I think it's the same issue that we have in our society with everything. Is like we just love the entertainers, and whatever
Yeah,
the entertainers say, do do. I mean, we literally will skip past the expert. You want to talk about economics? We'll skip past the PhD in economics and go ask, a Jay Z what he think about something, or
right,
Beyonce. We're asking DJ Envy about real estate when there's so many other real estate experts who have been doing it and doing it successfully.
right.
And um, I mean, when I saw the whole thing, I thought like anybody who really understands real estate would have been questioning because the returns that they
Absolutely.
were promising didn't make
30%.
sense to me.
Yeah,
30% in 4 months. Why?
yeah. Not
How?
happening. Not people who do real estate full time are not scraping those numbers. So I didn't see that offer. I didn't see those offerings. So maybe yeah. So okay, so that's what we're talking about. 30% in
Yeah,
4 months.
30. The returns that were promised were 30% in
Wow.
4 months.
Okay.
And one of the guys that did, I think he did, like I said, 800 and something $1,000 investment. He had on a suit and tie when he was telling this story. You can go on his LinkedIn page right now. He got a 20-year, 25-year long history of having a career, like jobs. Like he's a businessman. It's like
Right.
mind blowing to me. Like, how did you get
What,
involved in this,
what's
sir?
his name? I'm gonna send him a deck.
I'm gonna find it. Huh? I don't know. I'm gonna let you know. Look, he might join you on your ventures out of the country because I'm telling you,
Yeah.
this man,
But
it was mind blowing to me, and I think that was the part that was hard for me to wrap my head around was because I completely get it. You're a regular person. You don't know nothing. You like, oh well, let's take my $5,000 I've saved. I get it. But you a whole business person.
right,
Like, I can Google you. Like he used to be in the music industry back in the day. I guess like as some
right.
sort of executive or something. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure. But he had on a suit and tie. What are you doing? I would never told. I would have died with that secret. I would
Yeah.
no,
It
sir. You would
though
not.
the numbers don't make sense, but like I said, they went above and beyond to really paint the picture of them being experts and that they were winning. And again, to Rico's point, I saw some things that just didn't add up. Joy, I think I shared that I did attend one of their seminars. It was $100 ago. I'm like, okay, whatever it is. I wanted to meet resources like, lenders and things like that. So more so not the information. I think I had all the information that they were given. That information wasn't important, but I was willing to make the investment to go network, right? So there's one of the things we talked about. So I paid $100 and I got around people who had skill sets that I wanted to make. And it wasn't Envy and it wasn't Caesar, but it was loan officers and things like that. So yeah. But why are we not reaching out to the people who are doing this full time, who have made careers? It's not just the flashy. It is people who are making everyday small wins that you can do yourself too, that you don't have to rely on giving somebody else your money to. Those are the people who we need to be reaching out to. Let's not be afraid to learn. We can't just go say, hey, I want you to do this for me. Let's learn a skill that we can master and also teach the people in our family, teach our children. Let's learn valuable skills. Let's learn wealth building tools and secrets. Like let's put the onus on ourselves and not expecting someone else to do the work for us. But yeah, we celebrity culture is doing it to us. I think if DJ Envy wasn't famous, no one else could have pulled that off. No one else could have pulled that off, getting that much money and bamboozling other people. We got to stop living in the fame, athlete, rapper, entertainment culture that these are the leaders inside of the business world. They're not. They're not. They're just using their namesake, but they are not the people who are the most intelligent.
Right. I would never get financial advice from Steve Harvey. But hey, whatever. Well,
Right.
guys, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
it was
spending
a
the last
great conversation.
hours
Huh?
with me. It
Yeah,
was. It really, really was. I know you guys are ready for homecoming. Are you both going to be there?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Shout out to Kappa Alpha Psi.
There we go.
You guys, are y'all line brothers?
We are line brothers.
Y'all are okay, yeah. So y'all, they line brothers. They're intelligent black men, excellent representation of what Aggies produce. Stop playing with us. Send your kids to A&T. This is what I meant to tell y'all too. When you're talking about an investment property, here's something that a lot of people don't realize. You can buy a investment primary residence if your kid is in college. Just put 5% down and they can have the house. So that's something to know for the future. But guys, again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you all for watching. You guys, I will be back again next Tuesday at 7:30-ish, 7:45-ish. Y'all know how I do. Well, we will recap what is going on in real estate news. Please make sure that you like this stream. If you have not subscribed, please make sure to subscribe. But until next time, you guys, y'all have a wonderful, blessed week.
Hey, good being with you, Joy. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you.